You obviously had a very difficult time personally. Did the UDM take over your office space and staff?
Yes.
And everything?
Yeah, we had a new office. They went to court. The establishment was for them. Thatcher set them up. I mean, it became known that we didn't know at that time, but as I went on, that Thatcher had been meeting some of these miners from Notch, before the strike started. They had what was his name? Michael Hart, I think, a bloke called Hart. Somebody else of these belonged to this right-wing organisation. She got them, bringing them down to hotels in London, wine and dining with them, planning what would happen if the strike came, what Notch would do. So the UDM was set up by Thatcher. And they cooperated with bloody Thatcher. I mean, it was unbelievable that she was going to close the industry down. But their idea, it's not happened to Notch, lads. It won't happen to Notch. Our pits are safe. And they believed that. They didn't care a damn about anybody else. But unfortunately, what happened at the end of the day, their pits got shut as well. And then they said they'd been betrayed, but I mean, that came later.
What about, how was it for you personally when, you're back home, you were living in amongst the mining community, and presumably a lot of the pits were actually working?
Well, I never moved from Kessel. Yeah. I mean, when I go elected, by the way, I get up my coalboard house and go to council house. I didn't want to be holding to. I didn't want to live in a coalboard house if we're on union area. So I got a council house, and I stayed in that council house right throughout the strike. I never moved. So the majority Kessel pit was working. We've got about 200 men that were out on strike, that, if you like, were loyal to me. Never had any insults or anything walking down. In fact, if I walked down the street, they dropped reds. They knew they were wrong, but yet they were encouraged to keep going to work. And there was a picketing here from Yorkshire on the police used to surround this village and keep them out. Truncheon and also. I mean, my wife.
But you never had any sort of personal.
I never physically threatened. No.
Animosity.
I knew that a phone used to ring at middle of the night, and I knew someone like that telephone exchange, you were responsible for it. I knew the voices, and I daren't ignore the phone because in case it was something serious. I used to go down, and they used to be, laughing and joking and hailing, not nasty abuse, but abuse on phone. They knew whether they got me out of bed. I knew who they were. I recognised the voices. I'd say, I'll tell us, come up there. I was coming sorry hard and all that game. But that was the worst I got, a bit of harassment. Never got threatened. And we bought some offices in Mansfield when we got kicked out of burial. We had to leave burial because the judges awarded all the assets to the UDM. Everything. I've been in Notts area paying my subscriptions from the day I started at Pit. And all those subscriptions were taken off me and given to UDM. Nothing came back to me. The judge didn't say, well, give a certain percentage to the NUM. He gave them the lot. Buildings, assets, banners, everything. Even subscriptions. You couldn't have subscriptions stopped for us. You had to sign. You'd have thought, if I'd have been in a union for 50 years and somebody forms a breakaway, that they should organise for their subscription to be paid to them. A man should sign and say, yes, I want to join the new union. The judge ruled the way. They got to sign, and they got to they wanted to stop in the old union. Now that were a big blow to us, you can imagine. Some blokes just couldn't be bothered to sign them, miners and miners. So we got no assets, no buildings, nothing. No subscriptions coming in. We had to go to court to stop the stuff being taken off men who wanted them paying to us because the UDM were taking it off them. A long process of getting to fill forms in and taking them into town office, and half the time Coalboard were ripping them up because they wanted UDM to thrive. All sorts of problems like that. But by help from other areas, giving us cash, getting us office in Mansfield, we got through. And when the strike was over, we carried on, we built up. We finished up, when I retired, we got as many members as they had, 50-50. In fact, the UDM nearly dead now. The UDM still going.
I guess Did you receive a boost from the fact that in the early 90s the Nottinghamshire pits were closing down?
Well, it didn't actually boost, it was just better we told you so. It wasn't a boost because some of our men lost their jobs as well. But what the irony was that, and I still remember it to this day, Mark Lesseltine came to a conference of the UDM in Sutton, and it was on television. I remember at the end of that conference, all the UDM delegates standing and giving Mark Lesseltine a standing ovation. And then he left him, and 3 months later announced the mass closure of the British coalfield and majority of Knox pits. And then they shouted, then we've been betrayed. This is when it came, we've been betrayed. But Thatcher rewarded the big leaders. Link was awarded the MBE, OBE. Other strike leaders were given these had been gallivanting down London with him before the strikes, all got OBAs and rewards. So they got they'd gone. And so the dregs of the UDM were left with it all. And it was a tragedy. So we didn't gloat, but we always said, well, but he told you so. Your pits were never safe. They were good as shut. But it wasn't any joy because when a pit shut, we got some members, they lost their jobs as well.
Just to come back to, I noticed that you've got part of your finger missing. Is that down to the mine?
Yes.
How did you lose your finger?
I was bung with a girder over, and a piece of rock fell, was trapped in, and it went like that, and it was like that for about 2 or 3 months. It was getting away, so they took it off.
How old were you roughly when that happened?
1974, I think it was. So,
What's that?
15 in 1950.
49? Is it that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So, and that was that just an accident? Was it a slip?
Just an accident, yeah. God no, when nobody's fault or anything like that. I mean, nothing to what some men. I mean, some men lost their legs, but you got very little. You got, I think, under disablement, as it were, then paid out. I think under about £180, I think it was. So you got a lump sum from disablement for it. But if you had a serious injury, it were anybody's fault. You could union used to sue. We've got men a lot of damages up here. Men who have had lost limbs and things like that. They've had substantial damages to get them through.
Have you got children? Did they go into the...
No, I only had a daughter.
Just have a few decent...
No.
Just nothing. I just wondered what you thought about... Hasn't there been calls to... Is it still correct that mining is still protected gender? Is it only men that are still allowed to mine, or has that been overturned now?
No, women can work in the pit now on certain jobs by law, but nobody's ever took it up in England. We were a big supporter of it. In fact, we used to have a lot of American women come over, American miners, and we had a lot of support of them through the strike, incidentally. But we've had a lot of delegations of women miners coming over. But it's a different type of mine in America. It's a different sort of mine altogether. And imagine women having to work, some women are tougher than us, but it's not a good thing for them to be working down in that sort of condition that high, physically.
A lot more kind of open cast and drift mining in America.
Yes, in America, yeah. I mean, physically, you can get the old woman and be as strong as a gorilla, but normally, physically, they're not. To me, we were in support of giving them certain jobs. I mean, for example, running a belt, a woman could do it just as good as a man, probably better. But the law was changed to allow them that they can come in, but nobody ever took it up. There was never really any serious intent by the British Coal to recruit him either. Yes. He was brushed under the carpet.
I've been dominating. I don't know whether you want to contribute to anything you'd like to cover, because I'm aware that we've actually been going for about an hour.
I was going to say, maybe you want to have a break,
yes,
and then just...
Because we're being joined up with by some other people in a bit. So can we get you a coffee or a tea or something? Do you want to turn it off? Check it's been going, because it's just...
There we go. Okay. Right. We've talked for quite a while and we just had a break. Was there anything that first of all, came to your mind while we were having a break that you wanted to add to what you'd said?
Well, we're on the point about support that we got, because the difficulties we got with. So one of the difficulties we had in Notts, trying to get support from unions, other unions in Notts, was the fact that our men were working. I mean, they're all right me going to a lorry driver saying, don't cross a picket line. You'd be able to say, well, good Lord, Henry, all your men are going to work. You know, the majority of Notts miners are going to work. I can't afford to do that. You can understand that. But we got a tremendous amount of support from the rest of the country. Unbelievable support. I mean, the women from all over the country, all the other unions to come up and invited down to London. I mean, our lads, some of the lads in strike lived in London, going fundraising and things like that. And the rapport and the friendships that were made were absolutely phenomenal. It still exists today. We still get people who suppose it's right coming up after all these years to different functions in Notts. But it was amazing. I mean, we might have criticised some of the leadership in the Labour Party, but the Labour Party itself, some of the members were fantastic up in that country. You couldn't believe the support and the finance that we got from them. And the women's groups were fantastic. And the women's group that we had in Notts was unbelievable. We wouldn't have survived without the support of women in Notts. I mean, that Christmas of the strike, 85, was the best Christmas that some of the lads have ever had. I mean, we had food come from all over the country. Every pit had its. The strikers that were on strike had their own parties. And in fact, the workers missed out. They were pretty miserable going to work. The lads were having this fantastic Christmas and all the kids were getting these presents from abroad. And they couldn't believe it. It was fantastic. So it went all doom and gloom. Although there were some hard times, there were some wonderful times as well.
It seems to, from my perspective anyway, it seemed to have changed family relations, the miners' strike and the role of women. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I mean, it changed the role of women a lot. I mean, there's no doubt it politicised a lot of women. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's some women in Notts who went on to go to college and have gone various things. But there was a lot of family breakups. Mm-hmm. Somewhat mellowed now, especially after Heseltine shut the pits. They realised, 90% of men realised they were doing wrong anyway when they were working to break the strike. They weren't really happy. But I mean, if they could work, they'd work. I mean, they weren't. But brothers fell out with brothers, fathers fell out with fathers. I fell out with my own brother, because my own brother scabbed. But you get over it after all these years. And I say, when they finally betrayed them, when they realised that Thatcher and Heseltine had used them, a lot of men, in fact, I also remember walking across, as I say, I never got assaulted or threatened, either in this village or in Mansfield, yet majority were working, and I was adamant for striking. And I remember walking through Market Square one day, and I saw this bloke looking at me. And you know how you get that sense that somebody doesn't like you, and I thought, this bloke's good. I hope this bloke's going to have a go at me. Big strapping fella. And he said, "Are you Henry Richardson?" I said, "Yes." He says, "Well, I want to apologise." I said, "What for?" He says, "For working during strike." I said, it's a bit late now, lad." But he said, "Do?" He said, "We were wrong." And he said, "I was on that." They formed a big Coal Board organised a big demonstration on May Day of 85 up at Berry Hill, where they brought all the fascists came and stormed Berry Hill to. He said, "I was on that, and it was the worst thing we've ever done." So that was gratifying, that sort of thing. But it's come to him a bit too late. But
was that the marketplace in Mansfield?
In Mansfield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I thought it was going to assault me, but it didn't.
That was lucky, wasn't it? Okay. How did you actually feel yourself when everything finished and the mines were shut?
Well, it was obviously sad. I mean, that's what we fought against. Mm. It's not just the mines shut, it's the villages that shut.
Yeah.
I mean, the deprivation in Notts, when they go around and look at some of these mining villages in Notts and Derbyshire, Sharbrook, Castle itself. I mean, Castle's only beginning to get on its feet, if it really is on its feet yet. I mean, model village has been tidied up a lot, but it came like Beirut. Yeah. Model village were, sort of 5 or 6 years ago, they have tidied it up a lot. But the village there's no working village, the village just went down. And it's saying right throughout Notts, if you go down Notts, if you go on train from here to Nottingham on train, go through all these mining villages, it's just derelict. And that was the thing that we're arguing against. See, the strike weren't about money. I never struck for money. In fact, we might have got the Notts miners out with it if you mean for money. But they did, it was a principle of we were going to lose as communities. But they got this idea in their head that Notts were safe. We're all right, they're not shut us. Mm-hmm. Of course they did.
Yeah. Just talking about the community a little bit, what was special about the community in Creswell, really? What made it strong?
Well, as I say, once we got over this old apartheid system with budget system and nationalisation came in 47 and into the 50s and 60s, you had a good spirit, you had a good community spirit. Mining communities were good. Mm-hmm. I mean, things have changed a lot now, I suppose, for everybody. There's not so much... a lot of drunkenness and things like that. It's not as bad as what people make out. There is, but you never had fights in villages like we went to Creswell. Mm. There was a damn good community spirit. Everybody knew everybody. I mean, if you said, "Oh no, him, no, he don't work at Pit." Well, it was strange if you didn't work at Pit. Mm. But everybody knew everybody else. I mean, one time there were 2,000 men employed up here. It got down to about 1,000 when it shut. I think it was down to probably about 600-700 when Pit finally shut. But it employed a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And they were a good community. There were the clubs, they had scout movements, they had club movements, they had boys brigade, they had band, and all the clubs, there was the top welfare, there was 2 or 3 clubs in the village. A damn good community spirit. And everything was well organised. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't seem to be now. No. It's fighting, but it doesn't seem to be. Mm.
You mentioned earlier about the housing estate, which was half for Creswell and half for Whitwell miners. Was there any rivalry between the two? No. Oh no. It was an act of Parliament that they brought these housing things in for mining, for the mining villages all over the country. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't really fair that Whitwell's there. They allocated one for Whitwell, one for Creswell. Mm-hmm. I mean, over time it became. I mean, when they first started, you got a Whitwell miner living next door to a Creswell miner. But as things change, you get 2 Creswell miners together, 2 Whitwell miners together. You know, as people moved in and out. And as saying, as people left Pit, they didn't get kicked out anyway. You weren't tied to that house. As long as you paid your rent, you stopped in the house. And there was no bitterness between Whitwell and... I mean, when the strike happened, there was some bitterness because Whitwell were on strike. Yes. There was a bit of bitterness then. You can imagine, one was strike, one were working next door. The more business with the wives than what they were with men, incidentally. I mean, why would say, why is he going to work? Why aren't you going to work? You know what I mean? Although a lot of women were supportive. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What did you do once the whole of the mining industry had finished for you? What did you do?
Well, I retired. Mm-hmm. I retired in 1997. And somebody else, we carried on with the NUM, it still exists because we got 3 or 4 pits left. And but I was in 97. But the main thing we achieved was keeping the NUM. I mean, the government wanted to destroy the NUM, that's why they set the UNM up. It was set up by it was a company union, set up by Thatcher. They say they'd had meetings in London throughout the strike. And the idea was to destroy the NUM altogether. But we kept the NUM going. And they've still got the NUM today. Yeah. And it's still, I mean, it's the strongest of the 2 unions anyway, because they've got all the pits that's left in Yorkshire. There's not so many pits left anyway now. But it's going to be. Mm. The pits are going to come back once they can solve this carbonisation problem, which they can, you know. Get rid of this carbon stuff if they put the money in. If they put the same money into it they put in nuclear, we could get rid of all this carbon burning and they'll need the coal someday anyway. When oil starts to run out, they'll be good for that coal. There's a lot of coal left in England on the foot.
So you're quite optimistic, really, about the future?
It'll not be the same industry as it was. It'll not be so labour intensive. It'll be more mechanised. But it'll have to come back because they'll want the fuel. I mean, oil won't last forever. I mean, it's causing more wars now than a little, but it'll run out eventually. Gas ain't going to last. And there's 400 or 500 years of coal under his feet, still. accessible. But the big argument now, of course, is the green policy, that it's the carbon emissions. But the technology is there to spend the money to get rid of that. You could pipe it under sea. It's there, and they'll have to spend that money sometime to do it. It's having the political will, and it will come. Because when they need it, they'll need the energy, they'll need the coal.
Do you think there's still a political issue about trying to get the coal out in terms of the communities as well?
Oh, don't matter. Well, they get support from communities because it's jobs, but there's still a lot of, and the Tory party especially favour nuclear. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. It's a dangerous game to play, I think. Nuclear power's dangerous. Proved it with this earthquake in Japan and I mean, imagine if you had something wrong with a power station in this country. I mean, we're all wiped out, aren't we? We're not a million miles away from it. To me, it's the safety with regard to nuclear power stations, but there ain't the will to spend the money to get back to the coal, but they'll have to do it someday. Be forced into it.
But do you think people will go back down the pit?
Oh yeah. Oh yes, they will. Yeah, there'll always be miners. I mean, there'll always be miners will go mining. I mean, even today they'll go if they open a pit up. They open a pit tomorrow. Around here they'll go. But as I say, I don't imagine it'll not be the same labour intensive as it used to be. I mean, when you employed 1,000 men at a pit, you might be talking about a couple of hundred men, but because it'll be more mechanised, more modern. But it will come. Oh yes. Because we're going to need the coal. I mean, they're going to need the energy. No doubt about that. What makes you think they might not?
I just wonder whether there was a different generation because of the split in time between pits closing and now new energy coming in, whether there's a generation, a sort of lost generation of younger people or middle-aged people who can't see that they would be engaged in, it's in a way a dirty job.
I think there's certainly that gap there, but if they want to work, they'll go. And I say it might be a different type of work to what it was in my day. They'll go for it. They'll get the men to go.
There'll always be somebody, won't there? That'll do.
Pardon?
There'll always be some people that will.
Oh yes, yeah.
I just touched on something. Tina touched on something I wanted to ask you about, which was the generations that have followed the miners. I mean, okay, it's only 20 years roughly when the pits closed down, but I know from my own personal experience working in these communities in heritage that the children that were coming up, who are perhaps even about 20 now, have a kind of sense of detachment from that heritage, the mining heritage. Just wondered what you felt about that, whether your heritage was being serviced enough, and whether there are ways where you can hand on that kind of heritage to the younger generation, which seems to be missing out on that.
Well, there's certainly a gap. My grandson, let's put it this way, he's 16 now, hasn't got a clue what a pit was, and no idea what I did or what it was all about. Because they've got to look at films and whatnot and see what it tried, and you can't really, a film doesn't even to really tell you what a mining industry is about, community and the community spirit. But when there's work to be had, they'll do it. I mean, some men, since this pit shut in 1993, some men have never had a job since then. In this village now, some have never had a job. Some of them not looking for work very particularly hard, some of them, but at the same time, there isn't the... When I left school in 1950, you could nearly pick your job. That's the difference, Darby. I mean, I hadn't had it easy, but I had the fact that when I left school, I could have picked my job. I hadn't got to go into pit. There's other jobs all over. Just the money was there, the convenience was there. And if the money's there, people will go. And that's how they'll attract them, with good wages. There'll be good wages in the mining industry and people will go back to it. But there's certainly, they haven't got... you can't. If I talk to my grandson now, he couldn't really understand what I'm talking about. The community spirit that we had. They've missed that. They're missing that now, and I think it's a big tragedy. The community spirit. Anyway, in these villages, I mean, even in cities, sometimes they're struggling to get it back. The community spirit, but I suppose in some of the cities it's still there, but where they stick together. But things have changed. There's no doubt about it. Because of the politics of the country. I mean, Thatcher had a lot to do with it. I don't like the woman, I never will do. And I ain't going to watch that bloody film that comes out, I can tell you that. I'm definitely going to boycott that. I have no intention of seeing it.
There was something, it'll come back about somebody else. I'm getting old.
Don't forget she called us the enemy within, you know.
Yes.
Never forgive us of that. I mean, she likened us to the bloody IRA. I mean, there were men on picket lines with me who'd been in the army, fought for country and everything, and she called them all the bloody line. It turned a lot against her, you know. Some of the men hated her for that, to call her the enemy within. Oh, we were fighting for his communities. She's a rotten woman.
When you talked about the communities a little bit, and I know you've moved away from Creswell now, but do you still stay in touch with some of the people?
I never had Creswell. I like I have a little gamble every day, you know, and I come put my bet on at Creswell. I do most of my shopping in Creswell.
Yeah.
I've only moved because I got to live with my daughter.
Okay.
He's bought there's a old manor house he works at, which he's renovating, and he's made me a nice little apartment in it, and I'm getting on a bit. I was living on my own in Creswell, so daughter says, come and live, sell the house and come and live with us, which I feel a lot more, I'm happy living with somebody. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I ain't got bad health, not really, apart from my breathing, I had a bit of lung problems, but I weren't happy on my own. Things are, if you fall downstairs or something, there's nobody there. That sort of thing. When you get to my age, start thinking about this thing. But I'm happy now. I've only moved for convenience.
Okay, but you come back almost every day?
Here in Whitwell.
Yeah.
Still know a lot. Most of the people in Creswell know me.
Mm-hmm. Do you
but work a bit anyway.
Sorry, do you put your breathing difficulties down to mine work?
Oh yeah, it is. It's emphysema and bronchitis and pneumoconiosis as well. I've got. I'm compensated for it.
When did you first notice that coming on?
When I got pneumoconiosis, when they started a scheme, you know, where they were coming round pits with the pneumoconiosis X-ray. They used to come once a year to the pit, and I got picked up on one of them.
So quite early on then? So
yeah, before I went on union, yeah.
Right.
Before I went on union full time, yeah. But I went, when you get above a certain percentage, you have to then come out of the pit and work on pit top, but it went a big enough percentage for that. It's got weight, progressive. It's a progressive thing, pneumo and emphysema.
What did they do with regard to health checks, and how did that work? What was the process that you went through? Did they call you out and say you're going for a health check on this day, or? No,
but just came to pit to say X-ray units coming for a week, and it wasn't compulsory. But 99% of men took it up. There was some who wouldn't. A lot of men who got decided, if I don't know, I don't want to know. You know what I mean? The old-fashioned idea, we ain't going to have an X-ray in case there was something there. Couldn't say, go on, you want to have it, because you want to know, but some didn't want to know. But it was voluntary, wasn't compulsory, but it was a good system, and it came every year. You just get notice saying, X-ray units come in, such and such a day, go to ambulance room and get your name down, and they tell you what time to be there, and depending on your shift.
What was the health provision actually on site permanently like? Was there an on site nurse or a doctor?
Yes, we always had an ambulance room, staffed by a nurse, qualified nurse, always at the pit. But as regards we never had proper dust prevention. When machinery came in, it got a lot worse. You got water sprays to keep dust down, and that when a lot of people contracted it. And you never had dust masks, only it started in 1970, about 78, they brought out a new dust mask, and they used to issue a dust mask and have a man who cleaned them every day. So you had the provision of wearing your dust mask, coming out of the pit, taking it in, having it clean, and having a clean mask on every day. That helped. But up to 78, there was nothing like that. You're working, breathing, and that's where I got a lot of it off machinery.
Mm-hmm. How did the men feel about the safety equipment? Did they generally take it up and use it properly, or was there some sort of feeling that it got in the way?
There were also some people like that. There were always men wanting to take shortcuts. That was one of our difficulties with union, trying to, make sure men work safely. Some men would do it naturally. Some, if they're a shortcut, it would cost them money, they'd take a shortcut and risk it. And it's killed a lot of men. But a lot of men were safety conscious, and they became... You've got to say, since nationalisation, the Cold War did try to put a lot of emphasis on health and safety, more than what there was under privatisation. And I mean, the fact that we had 80 men killed was production what caused it. When they knew this belt was ripped, it was torn. It was rubber belt in those days, just complete rubber. This belt was torn on the afternoon shift, and they gave orders to have it repaired at night shift. They fetched, organised a beltman to come in on nights to repair it. Unfortunately, they didn't finish filling the coal out, and they left, got some bad condition, they left the coal. So they decided to carry on, not mend the belt, run the belt and get the coal out. And it got fast, friction, burst of flame. And it was primarily that caused the disaster. Plus the fact that when they tried to put the fire out, there was no water pressure and things like that. Everything, well, when you have a disaster, everything, certain things happen, cause it. No. There was certainly some neglect, which one, from that Cresswell disaster, you got non-inflammable belts coming and self-rescuers. We're all supplied with a self-rescue, which you used to wear every day, on his pouches, which would get you an hour and a half. If it carbon monoxide, you could put it on. Yeah. Now, if there had been rescuers in those days, every man at Cresswell would have got out. There wouldn't have been a man perished. 80 got killed. Because the carbon monoxide what killed them, not it didn't burn. Right. It was the fire burnt all the oxygen away, and they all died through carbon monoxide poisoning. But the compulsory self-rescues came because of that. So, like everything else, from something bad, something good happens. But
can you explain a bit more about the self-rescue?
Well, you're about that size, right. Not heavy. You wear it on your belt. You have just take the training every 12 months to make sure you do. And you just literally break it open, put it on.
Did it have a supply of oxygen in it?
In it, yes. It had an hour and a half. It lasted an hour and a half, which in most of the pits would get out.
So I just wanted to say, when you said it's about this size, we're looking at something that's kind of
it was
handball size, I guess.
About that.
Yes.
A bit bigger than that, a bit heavier than
that.
But not too heavy. It fitted on your belt. It wasn't cumbersome to wear. And it wasn't everybody wore them. Nobody, I'd never seen anybody. They weren't allowed to take them off, and nobody did it. I went to a pit in Czechoslovakia on a visit once, and I went down coal face, and all the rescues were chucked inside. They were bigger rescues than ours. They were about that size, a bit bulky. And as I crawled down face, you could see where men left. Well, they were no good there, but they'd all been left. And they were in Czechoslovakia, but you never saw that here.
I was just thinking, it's kind of like a large turnip, like a Swede sort of size. That's the sort of description that you were.
In a steel canister, you see.
The size doesn't come across.
And then you break it open.
Yes.
And the mass was inside.
So it was a one use only, and then if you use it, then you'd be discarding again.
Oh yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just to come back to your kind of political activism, were you motivated to join the union for social reasons or for political reasons? Did you have a political
reasons mainly?
Were you a member of a political party?
A member of the Labour Party, right? Yeah. Early doors.
Was that was from the time when you joined the union, or were you interested before that?
Well, because we started a good union meeting when I was about 17. I joined Labour Party when I was about 20, I think. I remember going round 66 when Beecham were closing railways, when we were going to lose the railway line here, going round getting petitions. We couldn't get anybody to sign them. It was amazing. We were knocking on doors. They're going to close the railway line from Wakes. So I signed that. There was a bit buses, you know. The apathy at that time was amazing. And of course, when he closed it cut this village off, basically. People, no one had jobs in Mansfield, you know, a lot of women and people worked in Mansfield. And then the bus service, they put on, but it weren't like catching train. There'd be 2 trains in the morning, full, of people from Whitwell and Cresswell. Yet when we were running around, I was thinking, well, nobody's bothered about what's going to happen. When Beeching shut in 66, and you couldn't get anybody to sign a petition. I remember that. That was a bit of a delusion for me. That Christ, we're all right here.
Do you think there was a sense in mining communities that there were? I'm gentle about this, but there's a hierarchy in a way, because I think those members of the Labour Party and those people in the union, and then the local councillors who tended to be pretty well the same, part of the Labour Party and part of the mining community in terms of pit deputies or whatever. There was a sort of layer of people who made decisions. And for that community, when you talk about apathy, when the regeneration started as well, people talked a lot about the apathy that people had been done to. They'd lost the jobs, but people didn't get up and sort it out. Because I'm just wondering whether you think it was because there was always other people who, in a way, the mining community relied on to sort those things out.
I think you're right in a way that did create some of the apathy, but I don't think that was because of the mining area. I think it was typical of the right throughout the country, I think that was. It wasn't just because of the mining industry, but you're right, it was said. Most people did the work, if you like, were interested in politics, got on the unions, got on the Labour Party, got on Parish Council, and if you went into it, you didn't go on Parish Council. But they tended to be satisfied. I mean, I tell you what, if you didn't do the job properly, you soon got upped off at elections. There were more people turning up to vote than what votes now. We've had 80% polls at Parish Council here, which is a lot. I mean, you look if you get 10 to 15% now. But you know, if you're not doing the job, the off you, no sentiment. Same with union. If you didn't, you're only as good as your last. I mean, if you did something wrong on the day before election, you were off. It'd be your bad luck. You could have been a magnificent union official for 12 months. Did something wrong the day before, you've gone. Because you're all elections. I mean, no doubt about it. You didn't just get a job for nothing. You had to really fight to get your job. And but people, yes, it became when, well, I can't read, all right, he'll sit to it, I'll go and see. I mean, if anybody, I'll go and see Henry if there's any bother, you know. But at the same time, they made the answer, you got an answer for what you did. More than what they do now, I think.
You talked about the disappearance of the railway. Were you involved in its return through the Robin Hood line to Cresswell?
No, I didn't get involved much with that. Alan Mill did a lot of work on that in Mansfield MP, and Dennis Skinner and all them, but no, I didn't get involved. I'm a big fan of Dennis Skinner, by the way. I mean, Dennis, for example, Dennis were revered.
Absolutely.
Even by people who, if you like, weren't extreme Labour Party members, they loved Dennis Skinner. And he's always been popular, because he's always been honest. I mean, there's not many politicians now who could say they're honest with what happened. Right? But I mean, Dennis has never been corrupt. He's always been straight. In fact, the only man in private eye to say is incorruptible Skinner. And that's something for a private eye to say, isn't it? You're ready.
Do you think that, just to finish off with the railway aspect, because do you feel that, the return of the railway, did you see any changes in the community as a result of that? Did it bring more optimism, more money, if you like, to the community?
No, I don't think it's brought a lot of money into the village, but it's given people opportunity to get out of the village and get to Nottingham and places like that. shopping and whatnot. Women seem to use, although...
Don't they use it in return to go to work in those places and then come back?
They didn't know, it didn't, I mean the way it worked anyway, when they came back, is what they used to be. Where a lot of factories in Mansfield and Nottingham was shut anyway. A lot of difference between then and 66 and when it reopened. People finding where it's more for commuting to shop. But of course you could use your bus pass. And unfortunately County Council stopped that now apparently. So that will have affected that rail. I think you used to get, I think probably get half fare now if they get that. They get half fare with.
I don't think so. I've got a rail card.
Well,
That's what I use, but I don't think you get reductions.
No, they stopped it. Not scanning it. They stopped it a couple of years back. But you used to be able to use it like you use your bus pass.
Yeah.
On this line.
Where do these communities, from an outsider like myself, you get an impression of the communities during the mining era being really quite inward looking. Where did, when people went out of the villages, where did they tend to go to and for what reasons?
What, for the social life?
Which cities did they go to? Which,
what was their thing? In my day, most of the lads, you didn't go to cities, you went to towns. A lot went to Mansfield. We spent most of our time dancing in Mansfield or drinking with the pubs in Mansfield or works at... you never went to Sheffield or anything like that. You never went as far afield as that. But a lot moved out of the young lads just to go out and train and go to Mansfield.
What about holidays? Did they?
No, the holidays mostly were a fortnight in Skeggy.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, later on it obviously became we could get abroad, but during the 50s and 60s there weren't much of this holiday packages on aeroplanes. It was more or less good at Skeggy or started going down south.
And did they, when did that idea of the pit closing down for a week disappear? When did that, for a holiday? Was that all gone by the time you joined? Was it staggered holidays around the year? Or?
Oh no, even when I started, you had a week's holiday. 1 week's holiday when I started. When I finished, we had 3 weeks. And then we had rest days. In 1972 start, we won what they call rest days. We allowed 12 rest days a year, 6 individual and 6 colliery. Well, that was a big stride forward that way, because you could pick 6 days. In fact, many a man, if you overlaid, instead of losing days' wages, you put a rest day in, and they used to accept it. Well, you may as well, he's going to have it off, that what I had to do with management. If they don't give his rest day, he'll have it off another day. So it used to be that when they had a hard night on Sunday night, Monday morning, overlaid, so they get a rest day in. But apart from that, they were good for it. Good, you could use them. She was mine.
Did the pit still close down for?
No, not rest days. They didn't. No, but they did during the holidays.
Right.
Except for essential work, there'd be some men volunteered to go in. There'd be essential work they wanted doing what people were on holiday. But in the main, no production. It closed down.
Just bear in mind. I'll just pause it slightly.
I really only came to talk about the old apartheid Buddhist system, which were, when you think about it, corruptible. The corruption.
What kind of corruption was involved in that? How did it?
Well, men kept the money. The Buddhists kept the money, put it in the back pocket. You see, it tried on. I mean, remember the pit was sunk in 1896. At Bolzolo Quarry Company had the Buddhist system right from then. I mean, in the early part of the century, men weren't educated enough to reckon the money up, so they'd cheat them. Of course, as men got a little bit more educated, at least they could reckon the money up, and a lot of unrest started about Buddhists, and it was festering. And but of course, if you open your mouth, off.
So how were they able to? What kind of scams, if you like, did they use in order to cream off an amount for themselves?
Well, the management gave them the money. I mean, like you with Butty, we work for you. We're colliers. You're Butty, give you all the money. You put it in. Meet me at Friday at so Corrie Yard. It's a good Corrie Yard. Behind Shed at Corrie Yard, I'd be there. You used to go and you used to pay us so, and you kept the rest yourself. And men had no idea what it made or how much. They weren't showing the books. But as I say, a lot of unrest started, and when PIYE came in, whenever that was, 41 or 42, when war started, tax system, that did kill it off.
What about the... I can see that were there any kind of disciplinary action taken against them by the management if they discovered that the money that was being given to them wasn't getting to the people that were actually...
No, they didn't care. Oh, no, they weren't bothered about that. No, they get the booty with the booty and he got it.
I guess they wouldn't ever know anyway, would they?
No,
Because there would be no... It would be...
Men they knew what were happening.
But with that organisation, that's what I'm thinking.
Men knew what were happening.
Yes.
But the union were powerless to stop it at that time. And I'd say Bolsover College was going to be ruled. They ruled the village, they ruled the men, they owned the men. And if you objected, get off. You lost your house. No house to live in, kick you off. Except these houses at bottom, which were tied to Duke porcelain. But of course, if they lost a job, they couldn't kick them out of the house, but they'd someone kick them out of the job.
So did your father work under that system?
No, my father never worked at Pit.
Oh, right.
My grandfather did. My grandfather worked at Whitwell all his life. There was no booty system at Whitwell.
So what did your father do for a living?
My father he was a greenkeeper at Welbeck. And when they had a golf course, Duke of Portsmouth years ago, he was a greenkeeper there. Then he went to the army during war. And when he came back, he worked in fire holes on Pit Top at Whitwell. And then, of course, my mother divorced.
But that's where you get your kind of history of working in the mine then?
From my granddad more than anything.
Right. Okay.
I mean, my granddad used to say then, you don't want to go to Cresswell, bloody butties there,
Well, thank you very much, Henry. That's been brilliant.
Yes, it is.
Well, as I get something out of that, I don't know.
Yes,
I'm sure we
thank you.
will.